everyone. Welcome to Magical Travel Adventure. I am Lauren, your host, and today we are going to be talking about the differences between cruising and all-inclusive. So, if you are new here, I am Lauren. I'm a travel advisor. I specialize in family vacations, and I help you plan the perfect vacation for you and your family that's personalized for what you need. So, today we are going to be talking all about cruises versus all inclusives. So, it's best, to just kind of talk about both. So, when we're talking about cruises, how it kind of works for cruising is there is an initial cost, and that cost for your cruise is going to include your stateroom, your main dining room time, some activities on board, and sometimes the kids' clubs. It kind of depends on the cruise line and how old your kids are. And then there are add ons that you have to think about besides just that initial cost. Excursions is probably the biggest one because you are going to multiple destinations and you want to see different things when you're on this cruise. So sometimes if you're going to the Caribbean, there might be a specific thing, or if you're going to a private island on that cruise ship, then maybe there's something specific on the island that you want to do. If you're doing something like more an adventure cruise like Alaska, the whole point is to get off to do those excursions. So knowing that there's going to be that extra cost for that, need to understand that. Drink packages are often a necessity for a cruise. So if you want anything that is not water, that includes soda, juices, coffee, things like that. All that will be extra on most cruises. So you want to think about that because you're going to need drink packages for people if you want that. Also, if you want to eat outside of the main dining room, you want to make sure that you have those packages. Maybe you don't need a dining package, but maybe you need to understand that you're going to have to pay more for some of the dining experiences on board. And then there might be special events on the cruise. Big ones that come into mind are like tequila tastings or wine pairing tastings, things like that. So, all those things you want to think about, or even spa packages or things like that. Anything like that could be something of an add on for a cruise. So, people think like, oh, cruises are all inclusive, and they kind of are. But there are a lot of things like the excursions and the drink and the dining thing that sometimes people forget about. So those are those additional costs. Now, on the other hand, all inclusives, the initial cost pretty much includes everything. That is the whole point of that, right? You have your room, your dining options, the pools, the activities at the resorts, and the kids' clubs. Normally, any extras are going to be something like a spa treatment, things like that, or again, like an elevated dining experience. So you just want to think about that. All inclusive, you can really just pay the one price and go. And cruising, you can also, it's kind of that give and take. It depends on where you're going, what you're trying to accomplish. So just make sure that you understand that all inclusive is going to mean more that that is your price. You're all set. You've paid it. Everything is available to you now at that resort. Okay, so why would someone want to take a cruise? There's many reasons, but some people like to move around. They don't want to just be in one place all the time. They want to go different places. They want to experience different things. And they want two things. They want family time and they want kids to be able to go to their kids clubs. Now, every cruise line does not have the best kids clubs. Obviously, Disney Cruise Line has the best kids clubs. So you also need to know that also, so that when you're planning what kind of cruise you're going to do, you want to make sure that what's important to you, you get. Like that's my job as a travel advisor. I help my clients. They come to me with a bunch of information. My job is to get them what they want. They might not know like, oh, Disney Cruise Line is great for kids. Like you might think that, but you wouldn't know that the level of service for your kids is so much above every other cruise line that maybe it's worth taking the Disney cruise as opposed to Royal Caribbean because you want your kids to have this special experience in the kids clubs, or you really want that adult time, so you want to make sure that your kids like the kids clubs, so you have a better shot on Disney Cruise Line than you would on any other cruise. Um, there are so many activities on a cruise ship, and people sometimes believe me and sometimes don't. But once you get on the cruise, there is something happening every minute of the day, and there's multiple things happening at multiple times. Most people tell me, oh my gosh, I couldn't do everything I wanted to on the cruise. There was so much going on, and a lot of stuff took place at the same time. So just know that there's plenty to do, and there's more of an exploration on a cruise, right? You're in different ports. You don't spend all your time on the cruise ship. So some of the times you get to explore the ship, some of the times you're off the ship. And there's really something for everyone. If you're going to go with a group of people, and maybe you don't all have the same interests, or maybe some of you have kids, some of you don't have kids, this is a great option because you can go on a cruise, and as adults, you can go off and do things. Maybe you could get the kids to go in the kids club so all adults can go together. And then maybe you're not eating dinner together every night. Maybe they need to eat with the kids and you want to go and have a nice dining experience that evening. And then maybe you get to meet up later that night. So all different options, multi-generational families, this is good because everyone can have their own room and different things like that. So this is great for a lot of different options. Now, why do people choose that all-inclusive? As a parent who is always on a schedule, always has to look at the calendar, always needs to figure out, okay, what time can I make dinner in order for us to be able to eat dinner tonight to make all the activities? All-inclusives to me are like more and more appealing as the days go by because I just don't want to schedule. I just want, you're hungry? Great. Let's get some food. You're not hungry? Great. Let's go to the pool, or let's go over here. Let's go rent paddle boards. Let's go do this. Whatever it is that you want to do, it just happens. And we can wake up, and doesn't matter what time we wake up, we're not getting to a port. So if we wake up at 8, that's okay. Or if we want to stay in bed a little longer that day, it's okay because we don't have to go and do something at a specific time. This is also, some all-inclusives do have like kids clubs area also. So if you can have family time and also send the kids to the kids clubs. I think the ease of it, this is probably the easiest part for a lot of people is, okay, I paid it. Now I just have to go on the physical vacation. A lot of all-inclusive vacations will let you add air also. So that makes a big difference too. You can just add your airfare. So that means that your cost is this, and hey, I don't need to pay anymore. So I'm all set. So that's another thing that I really like about all-inclusives, and it's a much more relaxed vacation, right? This is your pampered vacation where someone is taking care of you, someone is bringing you drinks, someone is bringing you food. You can go and get food. You can go to the pool. You can, do different things that maybe you wouldn't do. And I think what I like about all-inclusives is there's stuff that your kids can try. So maybe you don't want to pay for them to go to a water park to see if they'll do the slide. Well, here it's included in your all-inclusive. So now you get to try that out. Maybe there are water sports, paddle boarding, things like that. Well, it depends on where you're going, but all that stuff is included. So you don't care if your kids only want to do it for 5 minutes and then stop, right? Because it's already included. You already paid for it. It's already done. It's not like you rented it for an hour, so you must like it for that whole hour. And you must try it for that whole hour. And then, of course, the last 5 minutes is when they start to like it, and then you have to turn it in. So that all-inclusive atmosphere just kind of is like, oh, okay, this is so much calmer. Like, okay, we can take our time. You want to do this. You want to do it again tomorrow. We can go do something else. All that kind of like freedom that a lot of us look for in our lives, that's what that all-inclusive brings. Now, not all inclusives are treated the same. So please know that picking the correct one is what you're going to want to do, because not everyone treats all inclusive the same. Some of them have more than others. So that's an important piece. I know that I help my clients so that they get what they're looking for and they're all inclusive. I knew that was going to do it. Okay, so let's talk about some pros and cons of both. So pros for cruising, you can visit multiple locations. A lot of times people in the Caribbean, they want to see that, hey, I can go to this private island and I can go other places. Some people like to go on to certain locations and want that one boat location to sleep in every night. So it's kind of up to you. Different ships offer a lot for different families. So if you're, as a family, trying to travel, please know that there are some cruises that are better than others. This is a cruise line that I do not sell, and I put it on here because not all cruise lines are created equal. Not all cruise lines are for families, and not all cruise lines are best for the location that you want to go to. There are specialties inside specialties of locations. So certain cruise lines are better in certain areas, certain ships in certain cruise lines are better in certain areas, and certain cruise ships are better for your family than they might be for a different family. And that's why I'm a cruise specialist, so I know a lot about different cruise lines, and just by talking to someone I can say, like, I have a lot of people that don't want to fly. They don't want to fly to get to a cruise. So we're talking about cruises out of basically New York from where I live. So I have to come up with, there are certain cruise lines that go out of New York and New Jersey that are great for families and certain families. And there are other ones that I would never recommend for people to get on. So it's really important to do your research if you're not going to use a travel advisor, because all these tips and tricks will only help you if you get the right cruise line, because each cruise line and each cruise ship are completely different. Another pro are kids clubs, and they can be a pro and they can be a con depending on what cruise you choose to take. Another pro is that this is great for multi-generational trips or like group trips or like a large family. I do a lot of large families where, it's all the sisters and brothers, then they bring their parents and they all have kids. So then the kids have rooms and the parents have rooms and the grandparents want to be nowhere near the kids on this cruise. So I'm used to working with these large families that want to travel and go to different locations. Some of the things, you don't really need any of the extras. You don't necessarily need a drink package. You don't need to do excursions. You don't need any of that extra stuff. And it goes more places. All-inclusives, there aren't really all-inclusives in the United States. So you have to go outside the United States. Obviously, you can get cruises in multiple areas in the United States. So that's good to know. Some of the cons of cruising is there's still a schedule. You're going to get to a port. There's going to be a dining time for you if you want to choose to use it. There's on and off times of the cruise. Port times sometimes are not long enough. I know for certain locations, people always want more time, especially on the private islands. If you're going in the Caribbean and in Alaska, no one ever feels like there's enough time for those cruises. And I think the biggest complaint I get from people is just getting on and off the ship. It's such a production to get on a cruise ship, and it's another production to get off the cruise ship. So I think that time sometimes is like too much for people, and it turns them off. I don't think it's that bad. Like, I just think it's part of the experience. But for other people, it's really taxing on them. Now, pros and cons of all-inclusive. You pay that one price, everything is included. Maybe the spa you might have to pay extra for. A lot of times you can pay for that in advance also, though. So, you got your price, you know what it is. There's no real scheduled time. You just show up and you do what you want. And you have that access to things that you don't normally have access to. And especially as a family, especially as a parent, it's much easier to have your kids try things out than knowing that you separately have to pay for all those things. Also, another easy thing for a parent is food and drink is always available. It's just there. You don't have to do anything about it. And there are different options for families. So there's lots of all inclusives out there. Some of them say that you can bring kids, others are just adult only. The ones that are kid friendly, you just need to make sure you pick the right one. There are a lot of different options out there, and they say they're kid friendly. And let me tell you, they are not. So you want to make sure that you get that kid friendly option for families. And I'll say the biggest issue that I see in all inclusives is they say they're kid friendly, but there's no separate bathroom area. It's just one big room. Sometimes the shower or the tub is just in the middle of the room. So you want to think about that when you're doing an all inclusive, so you make sure you get the right kind. And there's kids clubs just like there would be on a cruise. So you do have options to have some adult time that you might not get in another type of non-cruise, non-all-inclusive vacation. Some of the cons can be that everyone needs a passport in order to go to these all-inclusives because they're not in the United States. Well, right now the issue is getting passports because this is in 2023. But another thing is that cost to get the passports. The flights often can be expensive to go to certain locations. So you need to keep in mind that the all-inclusive might be this price, but you also want to be checking out those flight prices if you can't get them included. And this is mostly a beach vacation. And everyone always makes fun of me because I am actually not a beach vacation person. I do go to the beach and I will go to the beach and I do like all-inclusive vacations. But it is very hard for me that it is just beach stuff, that there's like no hiking because I'm a huge walker and hiker. So it is a little different for me. I don't want to stay maybe as long because of that, but it's just something to think about when you're planning these types of vacations. All right, so that will do it for our show today. So let me know, what would you decide? Would you want to do a cruise vacation or an all-inclusive, or would you want to do both? So let me know in the comments and make sure to hit that like, subscribe, and bell notification. And I will see you next time on Magical Travel Adventure. Bye.